So, all right, let's talk about the SEC a little bit. I don't know why I switched to Tom, but I meant to go to Cole here. The SEC, not as convoluted, not as crazy. And maybe the good thing about this one is there are some scenarios for different teams to get in, but they're all good teams. And so, or, varying levels of good. A&M still controls their own destiny. They can be in with a win. Bama still controls their own destiny, right? They win and they're in against Auburn. Losses by those two teams could open things up for other folks. Ole Miss still alive, Georgia very much alive if one of those two drops. But again, just like the ACC, if the top two teams hold serve, they will make it. But some room for chaos here in the SEC.
Yeah, let's just call a spade a spade. There's two teams already locked on in. Georgia and Texas A&M are going to the playoff. Both can lose on Saturday. It doesn't matter. They will be in the playoff because one will be 10-2. The other one will be 11-1. No harm, foul whatsoever there. If Alabama were to lose, I think they are out of the college football playoff picture altogether. It's clear that the committee is going to penalize you for losing conference games late in the year. They moved from 4-10 just because they lost by 2 points at home. So they lose on the road to an Auburn team that needs this win to get bowl eligibility. They're going to be out of the playoff conversation. That would then open up the door for Georgia, if they win this weekend, to go to Atlanta or just stick around Atlanta. If A&M and Alabama were to lose this weekend, Ole Miss, should they win on Friday, would put their ticket into Atlanta to potentially win their first SEC title. How about that, Lane Kiffin? Just another wrench to throw into the entire plan of you leaving early.
Oh my gosh, I have the scenario that I'm cheering for now. So what is it if both those teams lose? I need to cheer for Auburn and Texas.
You need to cheer for Auburn and Texas. And also you need to cheer for Ole Miss to win.
Who do they? Oh, Mississippi State. Yeah.
The Egg Bowl. Yeah. So you need to cheer for them to win. So,
well, okay. So that will happen on Friday. The other two games are on Saturday. Well, no. Does Texas A&M on Friday too?
Texas is on Friday night. Yeah. So Friday's schedule is 11 a.m. Egg Bowl, 2:30 Old Fashioned Hate, 7 o'clock Lone Star Showdown. So the Iron Bowl would be the last game that you have to wait for.
There's a better slate on Friday of this week than there was on Saturday of last week. No offense to the schedule makers or the SEC for playing their bye week this week. But which LSU almost didn't get out of. Yeah, that's what well, part of me wants to see Ole Miss lose. Sorry to the Ole Miss fans, because I do want to see if the committee would drop them out.
That's so mean.
Would.
They would.
No, I don't. I
believes. Yeah,
my team won all their games, man. I don't care. I don't care about anybody's feelings anymore. I'm out of drink now. Look at this.
Here's my
okay, but there's. All right, go ahead, Tom.
So where's Vanderbilt in all this?
That's the point. So there's a few other things that you got to look at. Is let's say Oklahoma were to lose this weekend after winning on Saturday against Mizzou to an LSU team that won by 3 against Western Kentucky. Well, then Oklahoma's out of the playoff because you can't have them at 9-3 and Texas at 9-3. And with the head-to-head win for Texas, you have to have them behind Texas. So Texas would make the jump on up. Here would be the really interesting scenario. What happens if a BYU or a Utah loses this weekend, Miami loses this weekend, and Texas and Vanderbilt win? Well, Vanderbilt would be sitting at 10-2. Texas would be sitting at 9-3. Texas would have one major loss to Georgia, a major loss to Ohio State, and then a loss to Florida. But they would have wins over Oklahoma, a top 10 team, Texas A&M, a top 10 team, and Vanderbilt in the head-to-head, which was a top 10 team. So even though Vandy would be ranked ahead of them, that would be the conundrum that you would throw in with the committee to say, hey, if head-to-heads have to matter at some point, and Texas scheduled a tougher non-conference game, do we make them jump over Vanderbilt at this standpoint? Has Vanderbilt kind of tapped on out?
I don't think so. And I know we talked about this specific scenario a couple of weeks ago. Because what the committee's saying, so like on to like Notre Dame, Miami for a minute, what they're saying is we're not considering head-to-head because we're grouping these teams differently.
Sure.
I think when Texas got blown out against Georgia, they are now in a different grouping than Vandy. I think, like in my mind, I don't know what the specific numbers are, if it's this 5 or this 2 or this 3, but when they're looking at it, I think Texas getting just mollywopped by Georgia is the problem. Now, that said, they go and beat Texas A&M. Maybe that moves them up a grouping, but I still think that really bad loss, just unprepared. I know they look good against Arkansas, but that I think I might lean Vandy there, and I didn't a couple of weeks ago. I leaned Texas at 9-3, but it is a tough decision. I agree.
I think if Texas beats the Aggies, that's a pretty big resume builder for a team that lost by one score to the number one team in the country to open the season. Arch Manning and company, and I know we'll talk about the Heisman picture here in a moment, not saying he should be in it, but he has steadily improved every single week to the point that he is carrying more of the load for that offense for Texas. So I think if they beat A&M, then they have a much more legitimate case to be in, and then it's kind of up to the gods at that point. Oklahoma, the Iowa, the SEC, it's the best defense in college football, in my opinion. And I think if you get them into the playoff, if they're able to get in, I think that team is actually built to make a little bit of a run. Offensively, it's brutal to watch, but there's still a good chance that that style of team could have success in the playoff. I think we've learned that much about what the playoff looked like last year. And then Vanderbilt, it's like you would need some help. You would need some other chaos, I feel like, because for them to win in Knoxville, while impressive, it's not as impressive as, for instance, if Texas beat Texas A&M, something like that. Also, I was unaware that the Pavia family in general had so much access at the University of Vanderbilt. I was like, good Lord. Like, I didn't realize this was the Pavia family show all of a sudden. And I'm just hoping he doesn't.
Oh, dude, the statue's already being cemented for him right now out in front of First Bank Stadium.
It's wild.
He's earned it. I mean, listen, he brought national relevancy to Vanderbilt, a team that everyone kind of laughed at after he said, Vandy, we effing turn. I mean, like, think about go back to the start of the year where he made all of these prolonged promises about Vanderbilt football and then delivered. Like, he's delivered on every single spectrum at this point. They're in the college football playoff hunt. He's in the conversation to win the Heisman Trophy. He had a phenomenal day yesterday. They're going to have a potential 10-win season, even if they were to lose on Saturday. Like, you build the damn statue for all I care.
Hey, I'll get right back to the video, but first I do want to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper. Make sure that you are on the Sleeper app. We appreciate all of their support this football season. Use our code CFA for a 100% match up to $100. We will play the more or less game on Wednesday on the Power 2 live here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed and don't miss it. Make sure that you've already deposited and you're already good to go. While you're doing holiday shopping for everybody else, make sure you're on the Sleeper app taking care of yourself too. Check their terms and conditions because terms of use do apply. We appreciate Sleeper for their support.